This is exactly what not to do. Don't do this either. Or this. So this past June was my 5-year anniversary of making my YouTube channel, and the number one question I get is body position. How do I look? Check out this video clip of my body position on the track, on the street, in the parking lot. How does my body look? Where's my body? How's my butt? Where's my upper body? How do I look in this picture? It's constant. It's just constant body position stuff. And even before I started my YouTube channel, when I was still a motorcycle instructor, still, body position was the number one thing, overwhelming by a lot, by a huge margin. Number two is like, trail breaking or something. But the number one thing I get asked about is body position by far. That being said, I already made a bunch of videos on body position. You can go check that stuff out. So the first thing I want to say is this. On the street, body position, full body position isn't necessary. It's fun to do, but it's not necessary to go through a corner. What is the bare minimum to go through a corner, even at a fast pace? Vision, throttle, brakes, counter steering, in no particular order. Counter steer to make the bike lean, vision to see where you're going, throttle to go, brakes to slow down. Basic stuff. You could ride around very, very fast and only do the basics. But people, they get too distracted by the icing and don't have that much cake. You see what I'm saying? Or like Denzel Washington said, all that jelly and no toast in the movie Training Day. So people want to look cool versus ride well. And this is usually the motivation behind all the questions of body position. How do I look? Which means, how am I looking through the corner? Do I look like I'm supposed to look? Why am I trying to do body position in the first place? Someone told me to do it. I see the fast people do it. I want to look cool like them. I want to fit in. I want to be one of the guys. All this stuff goes into people hanging off and doing all kinds of crazy stuff that I see. Plus, over the last probably 4 years, I've done over 500 one-on-one cornering sessions out on the public roads, twisty mountain roads, bunch of lead follow and everything. And I see people do the craziest stuff you can imagine. And I'm always asked them, why are you doing that? Why do you do that with your body? And the answer 9 out of 10 times is some of the fast guys told me to do that. I had this other guy tell me that's the thing I need to work on more. And I'm like, their throttle control is on and off, their lines are terrible, don't know how to counter steer, their vision's looking down, but that other good rider, their feedback is body position. So that obviously tells me they don't know enough to know the priority of what you need to focus on first, because body position is the icing on the cake, and you definitely need to do the other foundational important stuff first. Over and over again, the same thing. I see the fast guys do this, so that's why I try to do it. Well, why are you doing it? What is the purpose of body position in the first place? I don't know. If you don't know why you're doing something, why are you doing it? So a lot of stuff about body position. So that's first. On the street, you don't have to do it. But I always say, like I tell people, shut up and practice everything, get good at everything. It doesn't mean you'll have to do every single thing you knew per corner. There's a lot of stuff I know how to do. It's simply irrelevant if I'm riding slow. A lot of things I have to tap into, a lot more tools I have to use if the pace goes up. But you could practice anything at slow speeds, right? Or fast speeds, whatever you want to do. Anyway, the whole purpose of me saying all this stuff is you don't have to use full body position on the street. Is it fun to do? Of course. And only the way to get better at something is to practice it. Just understand it's not necessary. So the number one mistake I see people do is they're not doing this. They're not moving their butt before the brakes. So just like Champ School says, right? They say it 2 ways very well. Move your butt before you get on the brakes, or they say move your ass while you're still on the gas. Either way, the same exact thing. So this is what happens if you do. If you're on the brakes, your butt's in the middle of the seat, then right before you tip in, you need to move your body, and it messes up the bike, messes up the suspension, everything else before you tip in. But if you move your butt first, then go up on the brakes, because usually you're down, like tucked behind the bubble, like you're going on the straightaway. So butt goes first, now you're set. Then you go up on the brakes to create your body like a parachute, your knees out, slowing yourself down, right? And then as you tip into the corner, this is the other side of the mistake people do, is they move their body too fast. So there's also a timing issue. So first there's body position, which is how you look, right? If someone took a picture of you, but the other side of the coin, equally important, is the timing. How fast you move your body off to the inside should mimic how fast you want the bike to lean. If it's a couple turns back to back, you'll be moving your body very quickly back and forth. But if it's a big, long, huge, sweeping, easy turn, you're gonna be moving your body nice and slow. And if I take 3 pictures of you before the corner, mid corner, and the exit of the corner, you are gonna look different for all 3 of those pictures. A lot of people don't even realize that. So before the corner, half of your butt is off, but you're straight up and down and you're on the brakes, right? Once you're about middle of the corner, you might be off to the inside a little bit, right? Maybe your knees on the ground, like at the slowest point. And on the exit of the corner, you're like this. Just like Champ School says, your head is the lowest at the exit of the corner because the goal is to get the bike upright just so you can get back to full throttle. Watch my throttle hand, here's the lean angle. Right, so you stand the bike up, you forcefully push that bike up and stand it up. So same corner, 3 pictures, 3 different ways of how you'll look if you're doing it correctly. So those are 2 big mistakes. They're getting on their brakes, but their butt is still in the middle of the seat and their timing is off with everything they do. Because if you do the right thing at the wrong time, it's still wrong. A lot of other mistakes people do is they move their lower body off way too much, and they're like their whole, like both butt cheeks are off and just the back of your leg is on the seat. Completely disconnected from the bike way too much because they're reaching for the ground. So when your knee is out, right, is like, say this is like your knee, right? So like here's your leg, because it's like a triangle, right? Here's the bike, here's your knee out, right? Here's the ground. Like you don't reach for the ground with enough speed and lean angle, the ground will come to you. So you don't try to reach really hard to get your knee down just to get your knee down. Let the ground come to you, because it's like overreaching. So you're moving your butt off way too much. A lot of people do that. And another big thing is they might move their lower body completely off, but their head is not just upright, it's on the opposite side of the bike. So they're really crossed up. Or another problem is their butt's really far off, right? And now their hips are facing right, their shoulders are facing right. They're trying to turn their head and go to the left because they're going left, but everything is facing the opposite way. So imagine you have 3 GoPros, chin, chest, stomach, and you want all 3 GoPros rotated into the direction you're going. That's kind of like the idea. That's like a good baseline to start. Basically, half butt cheek off. So here's your butt, right? Just one butt cheek off, half your butt off, that's it. And how much you move off, it depends. What is your flexibility? What is your comfort level? What style bike do you have? There's a lot of things that go into it. So as you're watching these clips of me doing full body position, you'll see my butt move first before I go on the brakes, and then as I tip in, I go into it, then I'm standing the bike up on the exit of the corner. So go out there and practice this stuff. Whenever you're practicing full body position, like today, I went riding, 200 miles today, full body position, practicing my timing everywhere, because on the big heavy GS, 600 pounds, I can move around a lot and the bike is pretty stable and heavy. But on my new MT-09, it's 200 pounds less. So what I found, what I was doing, I was moving from side to side, but I was doing too much pulling with my arms, making the head kind of shake a little bit because I was pulling too hard to get my body from one side to the other. A lot of people say that about the bike, but they can't look in the mirror and see what's wrong with them because they don't know. So I realized I'm pulling too hard on the handlebars. I needed to use my legs more to transfer from left to right versus my hands too much. So all day today, all I focused on was on body position, the timing of it, and trying to keep my arms as little as possible from actually pulling my body up and over to the other side. And it worked out pretty well. I just have to get used to the lighter bike, because anything you do on a lighter bike, it emphasizes any mistakes you make, or if you're too abrupt or too twitchy or whatever, the bike's gonna really emphasize it. And a less understanding or skilled rider would say, oh, there's something wrong with the suspension, there's something wrong with the bike, the front end doesn't feel planted, it feels wobbly. Well, it's because you are the one pulling really hard going from side to side, and you're not using your lower body enough at connecting to the bike. But when you're practicing this stuff, don't go at whatever pace you normally ride at in the twisty mountain roads. Like drop the pace 10% and just work on, because it's hard to learn something when you're freaking yourself out. So don't ride at that pace. Drop it a little bit so you're at a comfortable pace but still going quick, and then you can practice the body position, whatever you're doing that day. So check out the other clips. I hope this made sense. You could rewind it and listen to what I was talking about with body position. Just to summarize, full body position is obviously not needed for the street. If I do anything when I'm just in normal gear, maybe just a little bit of upper body, unless I just feel like doing body position for fun, not because it's necessary. Because there's a lot of corners I was just like either stuck behind cars or if I just didn't feel like moving, I just stayed neutral and just went through the corners at the same speed than I was hanging off. And of course, the whole idea of hanging off, you could go through the same corner at the same speed, same radius with less lean angle because you were off to the inside of the bike, keeping the bike a little bit more upright. That's the whole point. A little bit less lean angle, a little bit less risk. You have better traction, not because it has anything to do with the tires, but because the bike more upright, the suspension could work better. That's why you have better traction. So all those things are beneficial. So just keep that in mind. That's the whole purpose of this anyway. And just because you may not use full body position all the time and it's not necessary for the street doesn't mean you should ignore it completely. My mentality is learn everything. Have Home Depot in your back pocket of all the tools and be really good with the tools. Have them all nice and sharp out of the packaging. You know how it works. You read the instructions, you play around with it, and you know when that tool is necessary for what pace, for what environment, for what bike, etc. Right? So that's the idea. So check out the other clips I have of me riding around body position and get out there and practice. Check out the description below. You'll find links to my app, my website, my books, my affiliate links with Liquid IV and chin mounts and Revzilla and Lee Park's design for my gloves and knee pucks and everything else you can find. So check all that stuff out. I appreciate the support.